Hi, I'm Dwayne's Guitar Lessons. I'm instructor Dwayne Jenkins. In today's video, we're going to be continuing our study about playing lead guitar. So if you want to improve your lead guitar playing, this is the place to check it out. And we are working out of this book right here, Lead Guitar Wizardry Volume 1, that teaches all kinds of really cool techniques to get us started playing lead guitar, some of the things we can do to spice up our playing. In today's lesson, we are at lesson 26, talking about harmony notes in thirds, which is a really cool technique you can use to make some really neat sounds. So if you're interested about harmony notes in thirds, want to figure out how you can use that in your solos, stick around and I'll show you how you can do it. Alright, now harmony notes are really cool. Another cool technique to use in your lead guitar playing. One of the ones that are most common are your thirds and your sixes. And you can also use octaves too. We're going to work on our, we'll take a look at those later. But in this lesson, we're going to take a look at our thirds. Now, the first thing we have to figure out is how to find the thirds, okay? Now, before we can find that, we have to find our major scale. So in this example, this lesson I'm teaching here, what we're going to do is we're going to start with our C major scale, probably the most common one to start with, pretty easy, doesn't have any sharps or flats or anything. And we're going to just start right here, 5th fret, 3rd string. So we have our C, now we know that's our C major because it has that do, re, mi. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Now what's great about the thirds is they're really close to those notes so that you can play them pretty easy, alright? So, to find the third of the first note, which is C, we want to go up 3 notes. So, C, D, E. That would be our E. Well, if you know your notes, which I've been preaching for, all these videos, you should know that right off the bat, your E is right here below the C. So you can play those 2 notes together like that, okay? Then we go to our next note in the scale, which is our D. And we say, well, what's the third of D? D, E, F, F. Well, if this is E, then that means this is F. So for these 2 notes, we'd play them here. So we got these 2, they're above each other. I mean, they're right above and below each other. Then we have these 2 that would be like this. Okay? And then we have our E. So that's our D. Then we come up here to E. What's the third of E? E, F, G. Okay, so if this is E and this is F, that means that G would be right here. So we have a 9-8. So now we have a 5-5, 7-6, 9-8. Okay, so C, D, E, F. Okay, what would be the third of F? F, G, A, A. If this is G, that tells us this right here is A. So these would be above each other like this, that we could just bar. So we have 2 we could bar. One at the 5th and one at the 10th. And then the 7 and the 9 would have to be a note behind. Like this. So the pattern, and once again, think patterns, like I mentioned a long time ago. We'd have a bar, and then these 2 here. And we do it again, and then another bar. Okay, so C, D, E, F, and then G, okay? So what's the third of G? G, A, B. Well, if we know our notes, we know there's a B right here. So that's going to be a kind of a bar too. So now we have 3 of those. One at the 5th, one at the 10th, and one at the 12th. So we could go. Okay, we can play all those right there, and it would sound good, because they're all in thirds. Now if we continue up the scale, we say this is our G, then we go to our A. Okay, what's the third of A? A, B, C. C would be the third. Our C, this is our B string. C is right here, so we would have another one of these notes that are behind. Okay, and then our A, and then our next note in the scale is B right here. Once again, what's the third of B? B, C, D. So where's D at? Well, if this is C, we know this is D. So once again, we have another one of these notes that are behind the main note. Our third is behind. So we could go, and then we come back to the C. Now what's the third of C again? Is E, C, D, E, and we know once again it's right below it. So we have another bar. So we could go bar here at the 5th, the 10th, the 12th, and the 17th. And all those would sound good because they're all within the key. If you just wanted to play those bars, you could. Those thirds, you know. You just have to remember where they're located. 5th, 10th, 12th, 17th. Then if you add these in there, you know, you got your 7-6, your 9-8, 14-13, 16-15. So now you got some really cool things you could do with your playing and stay in key. Do some slides like this, you know, some vibrato. And that's your thirds in the key of C. So what you want to do is mess around with changing it to different keys and try to find your notes. Okay, this is a really good exercise in knowing your notes. All right, so I'd highly recommend doing that and find those thirds and see what you can do with them. You know, that's a cool little lick right there. That's some really cool stuff that you could put in your solo to give it some little bit of a different tone, okay? So as you can see, that's a pretty cool technique. If you work on the third string like that, like I was mentioning earlier, the notes line up really easy, that you could get to them really quick. You know, your notes are right there, right underneath where they need to be, so you can get to them real quick, okay? Okay, so here's what I wrote in the book. Harmony notes are two notes played together. You can use in rhythm and lead guitar playing. Okay, so that's what's really beneficial about them. You can use them both rhythm and lead. The most common are thirds and sixths, and can be used in all kinds to make all kinds of cool sounds. All right, thirds are consisted of the 1 and the third of the major scale. And like I mentioned to you, know your notes, know your major scale. The notes of the major scale, I put that video together a while back. So you know that's gonna, if you learn that, this is gonna come into play with that. If you didn't learn it, I'll put the video in the link below. Always check below because I always have links down there for things that'll really help your playing. For other videos in the series, some things that I use for my picks, strings, stuff like that. People ask me about that all the time, what kind of tools that I use to get the sounds that I get, and I put all that, the links of all that stuff in the description below. Okay, so be sure to check for that. Okay, make sure you know your notes, make sure you know your major scale, you know that do, re, mi, the intervals is very important, especially for this kind of stuff, okay? For example, in the key of C, the two notes would be C and E, that's what I mentioned. In the key of D, the two notes would be D and F, because F is 3 above D. The key of A would be A and C sharp. And find the thirds in all scales and learn to play them together on 2 strings like what we just showed you, the second and third. That works really well for thirds, okay? So work with your thirds, and in our next lesson, we'll take a look at how to find the sixths. And that's going to give us some different tones as well, okay? So once again, thanks so much for being here. Appreciate it. If you need some help with your lead guitar playing, I would recommend getting this book. You can find it on Amazon or in my eBay store. If you buy it from my eBay store, I will personally sign it to you. And like I said, check out my website, Dwayne's Guitar Lessons. Join my email club. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell for future notifications. And if you have any questions or anything you're working on, be sure to leave a comment below and I'll help you out. All right? So until our next lesson, take care.